Forget the gurus telling you to show up, lean in, be present 24/7. What if the most powerful, life-altering thing you could do is disappear? Yeah, you heard me. Just vanish. Not literally, okay. Don't pack a bag and run off to a monastery just yet, unless you really want to. No judgment here. I'm talking about energetically disappearing. Stop being so damn available. Sounds insane, right? Selfish? Like career suicide or social harikari. Good. That means we're onto something interesting. Because the grand old wizard of the psyche, Carl Jung, hinted at this all along. He didn't talk about optimizing your calendar or networking hacks. He talked about the deep, often murky waters within. And guess what? You can't explore those depths if you're constantly paddling on the surface, waving at every passing ship, terrified they won't wave back. The truth is, when you stop being perpetually available to the endless demands, the noise, the expectations, everything changes. Not just externally, though that happens too, often in ways that'll blow your mind. The real earthquake happens inside. It's like finding a hidden control room in your own soul you never knew existed. Think about it. Feel it for a second. That low-grade hum of anxiety? That constant pressure to respond, to perform, to be liked, to be seen as helpful, agreeable, on? It's exhausting, isn't it? Like running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving, and everyone else has a megaphone telling you to run faster while handing you more stuff to carry. We live in a cult of availability. Your phone buzzes, answer it. Email notification pops up, reply now. Someone asks for a favor, even a ridiculous one. Say yes, because what if they think you're not a team player? What if they disapprove? We've been conditioned to believe our value is tied to our accessibility. The more available, the more valuable. Is brilliant really? A brilliant trap. Society loves it when you're available. It makes you predictable, manageable, easily slotted into whatever role needs filling. You become a reliable node in the network, a dependable cog. And hey, sometimes that feels good, right? Being needed? Except, what happens when the needing never stops? When your yes becomes an expectation, your boundaries blur into suggestions, and your own inner voice gets drowned out by the clamor outside. You become the emotional equivalent of that 124-hour convenience store. Lights always on, door always open. People stumble in at 3 a.m. looking for metaphorical Cheetos and a shoulder to cry on, leaving their emotional wrappers littered all over your psychic floor. And you? You just keep restocking the shelves, smiling weakly, wondering why you feel so drained, so empty. Maybe you even tell yourself it's noble. You're serving. You're connecting. But Jung would probably raise a skeptical eyebrow. He knew about psychic energy, libido he called it, but not just in the sexy way. It's life force, your creative juice, your mental bandwidth, your emotional reserves. And it's finite. Every pointless meeting you sit through, every passive-aggressive text you decode, every time you say yes when your soul screams no. It's a withdrawal from your psychic bank account. And what happens when you keep making withdrawals without making deposits? You go bankrupt, my friend. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign your energetic account is overdrawn, possibly seized by emotional creditors you never even agreed to do business with. Jung talked a lot about the journey of individuation. Fancy word, simple idea. Becoming who you truly are. Not who your parents wanted you to be, not who society expects you to be, not even who you think you should be based on some idealized Instagram feed. It's about integrating all the parts of yourself, the good, the bad, the weird, the stuff you hide in the basement. That's the shadow, we'll get to that. It's about becoming whole, authentic, uniquely you. And here's the kicker. You cannot embark on that journey, that sacred inner quest, if you're constantly available for everyone else's adventures. It's like trying to draw a detailed map of your inner world while simultaneously juggling flaming torches for a demanding audience. Impossible. To truly meet yourself, you need space. You need quiet. You need to disconnect from the external static to tune into your internal frequency. This isn't about becoming a hermit, unless again that's your jam. It's about reclaiming your psychic territory. It's about building a fence, not a fortress necessarily, but a clear boundary around your energy and attention. And yeah, sometimes when you get quiet, you meet parts of yourself you don't particularly like. That's the shadow Jung talked about. The impatience, the envy, the laziness, the simmering resentment you've been plastering over with a people-pleasing smile. Being less available externally often forces an encounter with this inner stuff. It can be uncomfortable, messy even. But here's the secret, that shadow isn't just darkness. It holds immense power, untapped potential, raw energy that, once acknowledged and integrated, can fuel your journey like nothing else. Ignoring it, constantly distracting yourself by being busy and available, just lets it fester in the basement, occasionally rattling the pipes or causing weird power surges in your behavior. Facing it? That's where the real gold is hidden. That's where authentic strength lies, not in pretending to be perfect, but in owning your wholeness. So, what actually happens when you start pulling back? When you let the phone ring? When you say, "No, I can't right now," without a 15-minute apology tour? When you prioritize that quiet hour for yourself over coffee with someone who drains you? First, there's often silence. An unnerving quiet where the usual demands used to be. Might feel weird. Empty even. Like stepping out of a deafeningly loud concert into the night air. Your ears ring, you feel disoriented. Stick with it. Breathe into it. Feel the cool air on your skin. Notice the space opening up. Then you start to notice things. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. That faint whisper of intuition you usually ignore gets a little louder. You start to feel your own feelings, not just reacting to everyone else's. Maybe you notice the tension you've been holding in your shoulders, the taste of your coffee, the way the sunlight falls across the room. Your senses sharpen because they're not constantly overwhelmed. Externally? Oh, buckle up. People will notice. The ones who relied on your constant availability, your predictable yes, they might get confused, annoyed, maybe even angry. They might try to pull you back in, consciously or unconsciously. Guilt trips might arrive like unwanted junk mail. You've changed. You're being selfish. Is everything okay? This is the test. The moment where the rubber meets the road. It's easy to talk about boundaries. It's harder to hold them when someone is banging on the gate. This is where that inner strength you've started cultivating comes in. Remember, their reaction is about their expectations, their patterns, their convenience. It's not actually about your worth or your character. And here's where the rebel part isn't about flipping tables, but about quietly, firmly holding your ground. You don't need to fight. You don't need to justify, argue, defend, or explain. Jade, don't do it. A simple, calm, "This is what I need right now," or "I'm focusing my energy differently," is enough. Or sometimes saying nothing at all is the most powerful response. Silence, as the video that sparked this idea points out, can be incredibly potent. It disrupts their script. It forces them to deal with their own stuff instead of projecting it onto you. It takes courage. It feels uncomfortable, especially at first. Like flexing a muscle you haven't used. But every time you honor your need for space, for less availability, that muscle gets stronger. You start to realize that the world doesn't actually end if you don't reply to an email within 5 minutes. Shocking, I know. And then, the magic happens. The real change. When you stop scattering your energy like cheap confetti, you have more of it for what truly matters. Your focus sharpens. Your creativity ignites. That project you've been putting off? Suddenly there's headspace for it. That skill you wanted to learn? You find the time. Your relationships start to shift too. The demanding, draining connections might fall away. Can be painful, like shedding old skin, but it makes space. And what fills that space? Often it's more authentic connections. People who respect your boundaries, who value you, not just your availability. People who are drawn to your centered energy, not your frantic people-pleasing. You start attracting relationships based on mutual respect and genuine interest, not obligation or codependency. You become less reactive. Instead of being tossed around by every external drama or opinion, you develop an inner anchor. You observe more. You understand patterns in yourself and others that were invisible before because you were too busy reacting. You start making choices from a place of clarity, not panic. It's like upgrading from being a pinball, constantly getting smacked around by external flippers, to being the player, calmly observing the game, deciding when and where to apply your energy. Way less bruising, way more effective. And frankly, much more fun. Who wants to be the pinball? This isn't about becoming cold or uncaring. It's the opposite. When you're not constantly depleted, you have more genuine energy to offer when you choose to. Your presence becomes more potent because it's intentional. Your yes means more because it comes from a place of authentic willingness, not exhausted obligation. And this process, this reclaiming of self, inevitably leads to deeper places. As you spend more time in your own company, listening to your inner world, you start to develop a different relationship with yourself. Self-compassion stops being a fluffy concept and becomes a necessity. You see your own struggles, your shadow parts, your past people-pleasing tendencies, not with harsh judgment, but with a growing understanding. You start treating yourself like you would treat a dear friend going through a tough time, with kindness, patience, and encouragement. You forgive yourself for all the times you abandoned your own needs to please others. That forgiveness is crucial. It unlocks so much stuck energy. Forgiveness might even extend outwards. As you understand your own patterns and needs better, you might start to see the patterns in others with more clarity, perhaps even compassion. You see their projections, their unmet needs driving their demands not necessarily as personal attacks, but as their own tangled struggles. It doesn't mean you have to let them walk all over you again, but it can soften the anger, release the resentment. Holding on to that is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, as they say. Releasing it is another way of reclaiming your energy. And from this space of self-compassion and clearer seeing, something like genuine love can emerge. Not the needy, grasping kind based on external validation, but a solid, quiet love rooted in self-acceptance. When you truly value your own energy and well-being, you can connect with others from a place of fullness, not emptiness. This leads to a different kind of unity. Not the false unity of everyone pretending to be the same or agreeing on everything, but the deeper unity that comes from recognizing the shared human journey. The struggle for authenticity, the dance with the shadow, the longing for genuine connection. When you're centered in yourself, you can meet others at that deeper level, recognizing the spark of the same journey within them. So how do you do this? It's not a switch you flip overnight. It's a practice. Start small. Identify one area where you feel constantly drained or overavailable. Maybe it's checking emails after work hours. Maybe it's always saying yes to social invitations you dread. Maybe it's letting certain people dump their problems on you endlessly. Choose one thing. And gently, firmly withdraw your availability. Turn off notifications. Decline the invitation without a novel-length excuse. Set a time limit on a draining conversation. Feel the discomfort. Acknowledge the guilt if it comes up. Breathe through it. Remind yourself why you're doing this. To reclaim your energy, to honor your inner world, to make space for you. To protect that precious psychic energy Jung talked about. Notice what happens. Notice the space. Notice your own internal reactions. Notice others' reactions, but don't get hooked by them. Observe. Learn. Remember that shocking idea we started with? Disappear? It's not about ceasing to exist. It's about ceasing to exist solely for the consumption of others. It's about choosing presence over perpetual availability. It's about understanding that your greatest power doesn't lie in how much you give away, but in how deeply you connect with the source of your own being. When you stop being endlessly available, you become profoundly present, first to yourself and then, selectively, authentically, to the world. Everything changes because you change. You stop being a reflection of external demands and start becoming a source of internal strength. It's a quiet revolution fought not with banners and slogans, but with silence, boundaries, and the courageous act of turning inward. It's the path Jung illuminated, the journey back to the self. And it's waiting right here in the stillness beneath the noise. So, the question isn't if you can afford to be less available. The real question is, can you afford not to be? And look, let's be crystal clear about something. This whole idea, pulling back, being less available, it's not a prescription for becoming some grumpy hermit hoarding psychic energy like a dragon guarding useless gold. It's absolutely not about building impenetrable walls around yourself forever and telling the world to get lost. That's just another kind of prison. Think of it more like stepping into your own private workshop. You know? Your personal laboratory of the soul. You need that focused time, that quiet space, that metaphorical, do not disturb, sign hanging on the door, simply to figure out what you uniquely build. To tinker with your own internal mechanics without constant interruption. To get honest about the materials you're working with, the strengths, the flaws, the raw potential. Once you have a better handle on what's actually in your workshop, once you've cleared out some of the inherited junk and maybe even crafted something meaningful or strong or genuinely true inside that space, then you can choose consciously when and how to open the door. You start sharing what you have from a place of genuine knowing, of inner fullness, not from a place of frantic obligation or depleted emptiness. So the goal isn't just less availability, it's conscious, intentional availability. It's about curating your energy, your connections, and your contributions so they truly align with that authentic self you're working so damn hard to uncover and embrace. Because, let's face it, and maybe Jung would agree here, the world doesn't just need more busy people or more available people. It desperately needs more whole people. People who've done the inner work and are ready to share the unique, irreplaceable gifts they found when they finally dared to step away from the relentless noise and tune into themselves.